Well, hello again and welcome here to the Daily Mail newsroom in Kensington in London. Now, this has been my home for the last couple of days, presenting the Daily Mail's It's All Kicking Off transfer special. I hope you guys have tuned in. Now, we're going to wander along to the studio where all that magic happens, and to be honest with you, I've got quite a bit of scope to talk about Newcastle, because believe it or not, during the last 2 days there's been no mention of them at all. Yeah, funny enough, Jeff Hendrick to Sheffield Wednesday didn't lead our bulletins, so yeah, I've got a bit of Newcastle United chat left in me, and we'll just have a little wander through, behind the scenes glimpse. It's what has been going on. Yeah, Newcastle, it's been quiet, hasn't it? You know, we said at the start of the week we expected their business was done in terms of incomings. I think as soon as we got news that Sven Botman's injury wasn't necessarily serious, that was going to be them done. They probably would have had to act if Botman was facing any length of time on the sidelines. But yeah, here we are. This is the studio. I've been sat the past couple of days. It's been great fun. It really has, and like I say, these shows we've done are available at the Mail YouTube platforms as well. But there you go, that's on a bad shirt. Is it over my shoulder there? You only allow Champions League clubs on that peg. Not a bad picture either, is it? We know how that one played out. So yeah, I just thought we'd have a little bit of a quick catch up with regards to Newcastle United. I want to give you my thoughts on their summer business. Now we know that it. Oh, what a shot that is! Now we know that it is done. What I think, what's been good about it, what hasn't been so good about it, and also a little bit of a look ahead to Brighton tomorrow. But first of all, we've got to start with a reaction to the Champions League draw. Wow, yeah, absolutely brilliant. You know, as a journalist, just the stories which have come out of that draw is quite incredible. Would you believe? I only realised this last night. Now, the last 3 European grounds I had been to, this is God's honest truth, were Borussia Dortmund, Paris Saint-Germain and AC Milan. So while I'm not seeing something new, they are three great places to travel to watch football, to enjoy football, to cover football. It really is going to be something special. And tomorrow and Saturday, when the fixtures are announced, I'll be joining the scramble with you guys to get my flights and hotels. Yeah, that could be interesting. Now, they can qualify. Honestly, they really can. You know, I've seen these 3 teams live last season, as I said. Borussia Dortmund, I saw them out in Germany, and they only won against Bremen that day because of Jude Bellingham. Well, yeah, he doesn't play for Borussia Dortmund anymore. I covered AC Milan in the semi-final against Inter Milan, of course, which they lost, but I wasn't massively impressed. I think I made those feelings known at the time. I said the best player was Sandro Tonali, and yeah, he plays for Newcastle now. So there you go. Now, a quick story on Tonali. I was out in Milan for that semi-final, of course, and where I live in Gosforth, you know, there's a lot of coaching staff, managers, scouts, all the rest of it live around there. I often bump into them when I'm walking the dog or in coffee shops, and I said, you know, I've been out there in the San Siro, and I know you've been watching both Milan, and I said the best player on both teams, it's a guy called Sandro Tonali. I said, but he's not good enough for Newcastle. So I don't think, you know, I think you can do better this summer. This was based on one game, yeah. But 6 weeks later, they signed him for £52 million. So what do I know? And he certainly made a good start at Newcastle. The other team in the group, Paris Saint-Germain, who, again, I covered them in the last 16, I think it was, against Bayern Munich of the Champions League out in Paris, and I couldn't have been less impressed. Now, Messi is gone, Neymar's gone, which from our point of view, we all want to see Messi and Neymar at St James's Park. But yeah, I see a club there that has totally lost its way, doesn't know what it is. Parallel to, you know, Newcastle, a club who do know what they are, who have got direction, who've got a brilliant manager, an identity, and I really see absolutely no reason at all why Newcastle can't get out of this group. And yeah, they should go into it with confidence. I think they're the best team out of the 4. Has the summer left them better equipped for the Champions League? I think in terms of depth, I think it has. I think they've bought well. I would say I'm impressed by the business in terms of the isolation of the signings. You know, we'll start at the top there. Sandro Tonali, £52 million. You see some of the numbers which are bouncing around now from Moises Caicedo, all the rest of it. You know, to get Tonali for half of that. And while I still think he's got a bit of bedding in to do, a little bit to prove, it's certainly been a very encouraging start. Harvey Barnes, his numbers speak for himself. He came on against Aston Villa, showed what he can do. I think Barnes long term will be brilliant for Newcastle. And the two young fullbacks, Livramento and Hall. Now, Newcastle have solved a problem before it became a problem. They've answered the succession plan in terms of Kieran Trippier and Dan Burn on the other side. They've brought two young players there who could be England fullbacks for the next decade. So, and the isolation of the 4 deals, yes, well done, brilliant. But to ask another question of myself, is it what Newcastle United definitely needed? I'm not convinced it is yet. And because of that, we went into the summer and I spoke to people in the game age and scouts, all the rest of it. We were all convinced that this was even coming from inside the club as well. The absolute priority was a number 6, someone to sit and shields the back 4, to be a destroyer in there, to free Bruno to go and play further forward. Now, as much as we all like Sandro Tonali, and I've made this point previously, he isn't that player. We've learned that so much so far. Now, for me, in the first 3 games, the area Newcastle have been weakest is in the number 6 domain, and this isn't an attack on Tonali or saying he's a bad signing. It's got nothing to do with Sandro Tonali. It is the opportunity cost of signing him, which meant they didn't have enough money to then go out and also bring in that nature of player. And they've really struggled so far, and I've said this before, with players in the number 10. Moussa Diaby, Julian Alvarez, Phil Foden. Then you go back to Liverpool on Sunday. Where did the goals come from? Passes in that number 10 domain when Bruno Guimaraes was in there and he wasn't protecting the back 4. So for me, I would worry that what they've done is they've improved the strength of the squad, which will enable them to beat the rest. But to beat the best, you've got to improve your starting 11. Only Sandro Tonali so far started games out of the 4 new signings. I'm yet to be convinced they've massively upgraded in terms of the starting 11. But have they left themselves stronger to fight on more fronts? Yes, absolutely, and that would include the Champions League too, in terms of that ability to rotate. So I would say, on the whole, the business has been good. I'd give 4 ticks to the 4 names, although of course over time we do get something's got a different flavour for that. But is the first team better? Are they able to compete more with Manchester City, with Liverpool? Are they able to at the very deep end of the Champions League beat those very top teams? I'm not so sure, let's see. But another big one tomorrow down at Brighton. I'll be there, guys, bringing you my thoughts post-match. Plenty of content on the mail as well. We'll have match reports in reaction. What do I think will happen? Well, I was asked this question earlier of the week in terms of on the back of 2 defeats and a lot of noise, and it's been a bit of a testing time for Eddie. Listen, he's had it wonderful at Newcastle so far. It's just been up. He's got all the praise he deserves. It's been a wonderful journey. The last couple of weeks, it's just hit the buffers a little bit in terms of the loss at Man City. What comes on the back of that? Bruno Guimaraes, all the fallout over what was said with regards to fan accounts. You then lose to Liverpool against 10 men, and the Jamal Lascelles story breaks in the Daily Mail, of course, about Lascelles getting caught up in a street ball at 4 a.m. Now I think we reported, the feedback we've had in terms of from the club. They accepted the story had to come out, it had to be written, but we thought we handled it very fairly in terms of the portrayal of Jamal and his role in it. That tallies with their understanding. It was a allegedly attack of about 6 to 8 men on Jamal and his brother, and they were acting in self-defence, and I think that sort of tallies with the footage we've seen and certainly all the information I've gathered as a journalist. Nonetheless, Eddie come out this morning in his press conference and said that players probably shouldn't be in the town at that time, and that was a point we made in the subsequent piece in the Daily Mail. If you're going to be in the city centre after midnight, the mood can change. The nightclubs kick out and alcohol kicks in, and just probably best to avoid those situations in the first place. So as a result, Eddie has imposed a curfew. So by the time you watch this video, all Newcastle players should be tucked up in bed. Which takes us on to Brighton. And Eddie said himself, it's been a really trying, testing week for him because of those reasons, the defeat, the Jamal story, and everything else that goes with that. So he goes into Brighton a little bit battered and bruised, but this is the Premier League. He's got to pick himself up again. And can they beat Brighton? Well, Brighton's a good side, but West Ham showed last week they can be beaten. Everton beat them quite convincingly in the back end of last season. Newcastle at home, there is a way to crack the code with Brighton if you're clever enough, and that now is the challenge for Eddie Howe going down there. Now, you can lose to a very good Brighton team. They've got some wonderful players, Matoma and all the rest of it. I was asked earlier, will it be crisis point if they are beaten? Absolutely not. Newcastle are so far away from crisis point. Some other clubs aren't. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I said it on this show, in this studio this week. I think the likes of Manchester United are absolutely getting away with it, and they're a couple of results from being found out and from real inspection. With Newcastle, if they lose tomorrow, it's not yes, because expectation has gone to a different level now, and I mean that not just with supporters beyond Tyneside. Even in the office this week, a lot of people want to talk to me about Newcastle, what they can do in the Champions League, and I still think they'll get through the group. Everyone back there in the newsroom said the same. That looks like a group of death on paper. Well, I think it's a group of death for the other three, not necessarily Newcastle. So they're in a good place. Yes, they've had a little bit of a rocky start, but it was always going to be a hard start, and I would have every faith, even if it doesn't go according to plan tomorrow, that they will bounce back from that in due course. And probably after a bit of a, like I say, use that word, a bit of a bruising start, an up and down start, 2 weeks on the training pitch with Eddie Howe after this game during the international break probably is just about what they need. So yeah, I'm gonna go for now. We'll have a little bit of a last wander out, so you can take a look at this place after a couple of days in the studio. I'm absolutely dying for a beer. Sadly, I'm not in Newcastle, so I've got to pay the London tax. So that pint, which costs me £4.75 in the Trent, will probably £8.75 down here. But in keeping with Eddie's new curfew rules, I will be in bed before 11, so I won't be staying out too late in London, especially not with a big one down at Brighton tomorrow. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. Again, revisit those mail platforms in terms of the show I've been doing the last couple of days, and yeah, we'll see you again tomorrow when I'm just expecting another game laced with intrigue, incident. That seems to be following Newcastle United around everywhere at the moment. So take care, hit like, hit subscribe, all the rest of it. See you soon. Bye bye.